If you're brand new to skincare and you don't know where to start, I'm a board-certified dermatologist, and this is the Starting Skincare series. I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about your skincare, what you should be using, what you don't need to use, and what is a luxury if you want to use it. As a dermatologist, I'm trained in everything you need to know about the skin, hair, and nails, and have an in-depth understanding of skin physiology, so I know not only what you should be using, but I know why it works, and I'm going to make recommendations that you can find helpful in your skincare routine. Although this is meant for somebody who really doesn't know where to even start with skincare, I think it'll be helpful for anybody, whether you're a beginner or intermediate, or you're really well advanced in your skincare knowledge. The first step in any skincare routine is picking a cleanser, and if you go to the aisles of the grocery store, there are dozens and dozens of different cleanser types from dozens of companies, and it can be really confusing. And the same principle goes for just about anything that you could put into your skincare routine. So how do you know which cleanser to pick and how to properly use it? Before we can pick a cleanser, we have to know a little bit about your particular skin type, because the cleansers are all going to be formulated to act a little bit differently depending on your skin type. In general, we look at skin types as being oily, normal, or combination skin, and dry or sensitive skin. And those are three broad categories, but there's a lot of gray area. Some people may be sensitive during one time of the year and a little bit more oily a different time of the year, and it's okay that your skin changes, and we can learn about your skin and make changes as needed with your skincare routine. So first off, how do you determine what your skin type is? Here's a tip that I recommend. Go to the grocery store, pick up just a gentle hydrating cleanser. You don't want to look for anything that has, acids in it. You don't want something that's exfoliating, just like a basic gentle cleanser. And then cleanse your skin and don't put anything on afterwards. So cleanse your skin with your hands and water, and once that's done, pat your skin dry and then wait for about 30 to 90 minutes. Now, as that time goes on, what you'll notice is if your skin is oily again after a couple of hours, then you're probably more of an oily skin type. If your skin is oily only down the center of the face, you might be combination skin, and you might be a little more dry on the outside. We would call that combination skin. If you're really dry and tight all over, then you're probably more of a dry or sensitive skin type, and you may not produce as much oil. Understanding your skin type is a great first step in picking the cleanser that will work well in your skincare routine. Once you understand your skin type, then we can start to look at the different types of cleansers available to you. A little bit of history on cleansing your skin. It used to be that we used soaps to cleanse our skin only. Now, soaps are made with a very alkaline pH, and they were very effective at stripping oil from the skin. And this is where the rise of toners came in, and a lot of people would use toners to help restore that pH balance on the skin. Fortunately, most good cleansers now are made without harsh soaps in them that aren't going to strip away all the natural oils from your skin. Cleansers are made from other ingredients that are a little bit more gentle, and they're really designed only to remove dirt and impurities from the skin and leave behind your skin's moisture barrier intact. So in general, I recommend finding something that is labeled as a skin cleanser and not a soap. We'll talk in another episode about toners and essences and sprays and things like that, and that's not really the point of this video, but there may be a place for them in some of your skincare routines. Now, once you know that you're looking for a cleanser and you know your skin type, we can start to narrow down on what type of cleanser exactly you want. And this is where we want to know a little bit about your particular skin concerns. Are you just looking to clean your skin at the end of the day or first thing when you wake up in the morning? Or do you have acne-prone skin? Or do you have rough and bumpy skin on the cheeks? Something like keratosis pilaris. If your skin's really sensitive, there's definitely things that we want to avoid when it comes to picking a cleanser. You may already know if you're allergic to fragrances or not. If you're not allergic to fragrance, it's not necessarily something that you need to stay away from, but oftentimes we don't go out of our way to add fragrance into our skincare products, but sometimes fragrances are pretty nice and they improve the user experience. And it's surprising how many cleansers and other skincare products do include small amounts of fragrance. Now, back when I was in high school, one of the cleansers that I used a lot was an apricot scrub. So an apricot scrub is really harsh and gritty, and it uses walnut shells and other things to really help physically exfoliate the skin. But if you look under the microscope for some of these things, they're kind of jagged little pieces, and if you're aggressive, they can actually cause small micro tears in your skin, and that's really not good. So as a daily cleanser, I recommend that you stay away from harsh, physically gritty, scrubby things. Those are not really good for daily cleansing of the skin. So now you know your skin type. We're avoiding certain, harsh, scrubby, gritty types of cleansers. If you love them, You can use them occasionally, like, I don't know, for some reason they're still at my parents' house, and whenever we go to visit, I still use it actually because it's kind of nostalgic, and it does feel good as long as you're not too aggressive. Don't push hard, just kind of let the product do the work, but again, don't use it every day. A lot of the skincare companies have made it pretty easy to pick a cleanser once you know your skin type and you know any particular skin concerns that you have. So again, if we're looking at just cleansing the skin in the morning or the evening, so you're going to want to pick something, and you can find this on a lot of the packaging that will say it's formulated for normal skin, formulated for dry skin, or formulated for oily skin. And you're just going to be looking for a gentle, basic cleanser. And I'm going to put some recommendations down in the video description for some of my favorite cleansers. It's not an all-inclusive list, and you may find something that you like better, and that's totally okay. Everybody's skin is a little bit different. There's as many different, faces as there are skin products. Now, I'm going to use CeraVe products as kind of descriptors, but it's not necessary that you have only CeraVe cleansers. I'm also a big fan of Cetaphil cleansers. Vanicream makes some good stuff. Neutrogena also makes great cleansers that I'm a big fan of. I mean, I could go on and on with cleanser brands that I've tried and that I like. There's Skin Fix, there's La Roche-Posay. There's a lot of smaller brands like First Aid Beauty, Delta MD. Even the new stuff from Mario Badescu, I think, is pretty good. I know that they've gotten some blowback from some of their older products just because they were really heavily fragranced, but like their new gentle cleanser is pretty good too. So again, we're talking, like, let's just look at the CeraVe cleansers. They have just their hydrating cleanser. This is a great all-around cleanser, and it works well for basically all skin types. But if you're really oily, you might feel like it's not taking off enough stuff. But the hydrating cleanser is really good for dry and normal skin. What you're going to find with something like that, though, is it doesn't lather up quite as much as some other cleansers. I do like the feel of the hydrating cleanser, but in general, I like a cleanser that lathers up. Just, it's a user experience, your experience thing. So again, part of this is going to be how it feels for you and if you like using it. Also, again, talking about CeraVe, if you have more oily skin, they have a foaming facial cleanser, and a foaming cleanser is going to really lather up and is going to be much better for oily skin, and that's going to help take away some of the excess oil without really stripping away too much, that it starts to break down your moisture barrier. If you're kind of in between, you can use the cream to foam cleanser, which is kind of a good balance between the two, but these are just kind of broad categories, and you can get very similar products from a lot of the other companies that I mentioned. For one of the most hypoallergenic gentle cleansers, Vanicream is fantastic. So if you have very sensitive skin, I'll often recommend to my patients in the clinic to use Vanicream. And my wife in particular loves the Cetaphil cleanser. She has been a die-hard Cetaphil fan since the time that I met her. So those are kind of broad categories for different cleansers. We've named a lot of brands, but that's not an all-inclusive list of brands that I've tried and that I've liked. If you have specific skin concerns, however, we can start to look at other cleanser options that are going to address your particular concerns. So if you have acne-prone skin, cleansers with active ingredients is what you're going to want to look for at the grocery store aisle. And those are going to be active ingredients like benzoyl peroxide and salicylic acid. You're also going to find others that just list things like AHAs, which stand for alpha hydroxy acids, or PHAs, which are polyhydroxy acids. And sometimes you're going to see BHAs, which are beta-hydroxy acids. Salicylic acid is the most well-known BHA. If you have acne-prone skin, using benzoyl peroxide is particularly effective because it actually kills the bacteria that cause acne. And just like using all these other cleansers, you're going to find benzoyl peroxide cleansers in a lot of different formulations. Some are going to be more foamy and lathery. Some are going to be a little bit thinner that don't lather quite as well. So you can pick one that works well for you. You're going to see that benzoyl peroxide cleansers come in a range of concentrations from like 2.5% up to 10%. What they have shown in studies is that the percentage of benzoyl peroxide doesn't really make a big difference in the efficacy for killing the bacteria that cause acne. We do know, however, that if you have more sensitive skin, the higher concentrations, up to like 10%, are more likely to cause irritation. So just keep that in mind when you're picking a benzoyl peroxide cleanser. One other important tip for benzoyl peroxide cleansers is that benzoyl peroxide is a peroxide, so it can bleach fabric. And if you've used it, you may have noticed this phenomenon that you start to get orange discoloration around the shirt collar, or your pillows or your towels are starting to turn that kind of orange color because the product is actually starting to bleach. So if you're using a cleanser with benzoyl peroxide, take great care to rinse it off completely. Then pat dry, and I recommend using an old towel so that if it does start to bleach with time, nobody's going to be mad at you. Then salicylic acid. Salicylic acid is a beta hydroxy acid, and it's actually very good for getting through oil on the skin, better than some of the alpha hydroxy acids, which are going to be like glycolic acid, for example. So salicylic acid can actually help to penetrate through the oil and break up some of those blackheads and whiteheads, those plugged oil glands, and can help to break up sebaceous filaments when you see those kind of open pores on your nose. So salicylic acid is really good for acne because it actually helps to get through the oil and remove some of that material that the bacteria actually feed off of. Both benzoyl peroxide and salicylic acid have the potential to cause irritation, and just like benzoyl peroxide, salicylic acid cleansers can come in a variety of different formulations that will be of different textures and consistencies. I generally recommend that you don't try to use both of these cleansers in your skincare routine. That's going to really risk drying your skin out too much because each of those cleansers does pose the risk for dryness and irritation. Many of the brands that I mentioned previously carry these types of cleansers as well. So if you have a particular loyalty to one brand or another, you can often find a salicylic acid cleanser or a benzoyl peroxide cleanser within their suite of products. If you have skin concerns like pigmentation, or you're trying to get an improvement in texture because of acne scarring or something like that, you can start to look for cleansers that have alpha hydroxy acids in them, and these are going to help gently resurface the skin and help gently improve texture over time. Overall, I don't find that these make a huge difference in texture. They can be more helpful when you combine them with other active ingredients that we'll cover in other videos in this series. Just remember that anytime you're choosing AHA, PHA, and BHA skincare cleansers, you have some increased risk of irritation, so you're going to want to follow that up often with a moisturizer that works well for your skin, and we're going to cover moisturizers in another video. I'm going to have some recommendations for some of my favorites in the video description below, so you can check that out if you want to find something off my recommended shopping list. Again, I'm Dr. Dustin Portela, board-certified dermatologist, helping you start your skincare. What do you want to know about your skincare routine? Make sure to ask me in the comments below. If you have questions or ideas for future videos, please be sure to leave that in the comments, and I will try to address that in future videos. Make sure you subscribe so that you can get the latest, and I look forward to seeing you next time.